Welcome to the eCommerce Growth Show, brought to you by Segmentify.
Hello, everyone. This is Carlos again for another episode of the eCommerce Growth Show, the Scandinavian version here. Today, I have the honor to be sitting with Kasper Holst, who's I consider a friend, been in Brazil with me once. He's the founder of Impact. Impact is one of the coolest software houses I've seen in Scandinavia and probably in the world. So Kasper, instead of having me talking a lot about you, why don't you introduce yourself, who you are, what is Impact all about, and how are you shaping the future of commerce?
Thank you, Carlos. And I agree. We had a good time in Brazil a couple of years ago, for sure. I'm Kasper Holst. I'm the founder and the CEO of Impact. I've been working with e-commerce and Omnichannel since 2000. So for the last 22 years, that's my passion. That's what my head spin around at work and often when I'm off as well.
Nice.
And I'm savvy around great experiences. So I like to explore. I like to discover. I like to sense. I like to discover new way of experiencing. It could be shopping, but it could also be other kind of experiences like music, locations, cities, etc. And I use that a lot in my work.
Fantastic. And I think that's the perfect maybe segue for what we're going to talk about, because we're going to talk about experiences and also we're going to talk a little bit about your, the study you did, the Omnichannel Index. Yeah. But there's an author I like very much. I'm not sure you heard of Joseph Pine. He has a book called The Experience Economy, right? And it's really good. I highly recommend. It's probably one of the best business books ever written. It's all about experiences, And you told me last week, I believe, that you opened an office in Portugal because you like surfing, and and you wanted to bring this not only because you like surfing, but that was also part of the journey of Impact. So maybe you can talk a little bit about that. And I would like to have your views also on the recent acquisition, because you guys recently acquired a Swedish company, right? So talk a bit about your culture, as in a company. How do you build the culture of Impact now, especially after acquiring a new company, and all of these experiences that you try to bring into the company, if that makes sense?
Of course, yeah. So first of all, Impact. In Impact, we work with commerce. We work with the full omnichannel experience. So it's not only the commerce part that's specific around transaction and products and payments and everything around that. It's related to the full journey across channels in B2B, distribution, manufacturing, wholesale, and for B2C brands and retailers. So we work with the full journey, and we strategize and we elevate our customers in the full journey across channels. That's the starting point. Looking into how the culture look like and the company look like. So we're true I would say cross-functional, cross-competency company within the field of designing the journey, implementing the journey, optimizing the journey, tech-wise, UX strategy, BI marketing-wise. And we are a company spread around more offices now. Our culture is based on, I would say, collaboration, curiosity, the ambition to drive change and really make a difference. And looking into the current state of landscape, we see that competencies are spread around Europe. We cannot always rely on just finding the perfect profile close to one of our main offices, and realized that some years ago. and we decided to open our Portuguese office in 2017. We had several locations in consideration. At that time, we found that Portugal was quite easy to get started with. We had good connections. It's a wonderful location. On the hour, on the time, the clock, it's close to Scandinavian time to our client.
Yeah.
And we also found that culture-wise, it's quite open, social, curious, positive culture that you find, and that we found that as a really good mix into impact. Over time, I would say we have evolved, and we are now in many locations across Europe, and we find that what I experience is now is that we have a joint culture. We have people with the kind of the same beliefs, the same approach to collaboration, to set the customer and colleagues first, doing a great work at job and caring around the relations at work. And I think that's really important in a distributed setup to foster that kind of culture.
Fantastic. Kasper, how has your job changed? I mean, your let's say your job changed over the years as a founder of a company. you know?
That's quite interesting, because in 2010 we were 25 people, and we set out a strategy for 4 years ahead, and we managed to grow to double the company, or in 3 years managed to grow to double the size of the company. And so we went from a small company to, I would say, a medium-sized agency consultancy, 50-60 people. We start to split out in more functional teams or departments at that time. And going forward towards 2017, we doubled the company again to I would say 100 people, including Copenhagen as a new location. So in that period, the role changed from to start to give more responsibility to middle managers and directors in the company. And from 2017 to 2021 now, at the last strategy period, we have gone from, I would say, 100 to 275 people, which includes a lot more autonomous work in tribes. So we transition into full tribes, a new structure again, and I would say new management duties to focus even more on setting direction and letting people run their own business, run their own tribe all the way with full responsibility, all the way. And that actually allowed the tribes also to set more direction themselves, define their focus, maybe having some attributes, subcultural attributes. And now with recently here in December, we decide not to acquire, but to merge with Improve from Sweden. Great company with great people and great skills, great customers, truly distributed organization across 3 countries, 70 people across three countries, quite equally spread out. And that have led into you can say a new phase of the company, because now we're 350. We are on 7 locations, and we have I would say a bit more distributed management team. And what ties us together is joint goals, aspirations, and of course culture. So now the new management duties are even more setting, you can say, high-level direction, but actually working with culture as a main driver of tying the company together and ensuring that everyone keep an eye on the clients and the value creation for the clients. So I would say my job has just transitioned in different phases from really local team management, growing to a company now with culture and support to the organization as the main task. So I would say I've got a new job 4 times the last 12 years.
That's very cool. And I find it very interesting also, like to see the evolution of the company. And tell me a little bit about, you know, your customers. So I believe most of your customers, since you're working on their journey, I mean, you have customers that have been following your company for a long time, and you've been following them and contributing to their journey as well.
Yeah.
And how do you see them evolving in terms of in terms of digital transformation, so to speak, you know?
Yeah, so let's say go 10 years back. Then the task and the mission for us with our clients was for some clients to start a digital transformation from scratch, help them getting the toes wet, so to say, starting out, and optimizing and start building capabilities around omnichannel and servicing their clients in digital channels, digital touchpoints. And we started out quite early with omnichannel initiatives, like using the web shop in store as a tool, using the store to fulfill orders already in 2011, 2012. And what we've seen now, I would say last 3-4 years, is that also the COVID, of course, but we've seen that the importance of excelling digital has become really, really high, and it's a crucial factor. So now it's digital at the core. 10 years ago, it was digital as a new channel or a new initiative or a new team.
The gimmick, almost like.
Like starting out. So we've seen like one of our clients, we started out with 2 million euro in digital revenue the first year, and now after 7 years, we've seen that they've hit around 67 million euro across channels with digital at the core. So I've seen a huge transformation in revenue, changing from old school transaction, old school service into servicing the client with digital at the core, and omnichannel and digital into everything, so to say. So it's what I see now is the true channel agnostic client operations being carried out, and everyone investing now in applications that can help those processes. So I see investment in new POS, OMS, new, faster, better e-commerce platforms, new applications to manage and capture customer data and activate those data in all channels. So I see a landscape that has exploded in a lot of digital investments, investment in people, investment in technology, and investments in actually changing the way they operate. So all the key processes in the company around purchasing, around merchandising, campaigns, etc., have changed totally.
Fascinating. I mean, now we're speaking from a, you know, digital is an imperative. So that's the premise. And I believe that 20 years ago, when you started, you had to convince people to have an online shop, and that was a good idea, but it was very probably challenging. And nowadays, what's the challenge, you know, like that you see for brands and retailers? Is it the boards, or the boards are not romantic anymore because everybody has realized that things?
No, I've seen the last couple of years that we've now got past the board as a blocker for digital investments or transformation. I see now that it's the organization. It's having sufficient competency in the organization to run this transformation. Transformation is hard. Transformation takes to do a successful transformation. You need skills in working with change, changing habits, changing processes, changing the structure in the organization, etc. And I see that process of changing and working with change as a discipline, and knowing what is actually the next phase. I see that as the blocker. So it's around getting sufficient new competences into the organization and organizing the change. I see that as the blocker. It's not the funding from the board or willingness to change the company or willingness to take risks. It's all about people now, and I think that's the main challenge.
Mm-hmm. And so, how do you see that impacting the customers? Meaning, in that sense, because I believe that the future is all about education. That's why I have evolved. You know, I think it's all about education.
Yeah. So what I've seen since, let's say, since 2010 was a period where we helped our clients get started. Then some of the larger clients, the more enterprise clients, they were really focused on insourcing and building their own capabilities. And now somehow the development and the landscape and the complexity have accelerated. And then now they need us again, even more than before, to accelerate the transformation, to increase, or you can say decrease the time to market. So ensuring that they reach the markets quicker with new capabilities. They have difficulties qualifying and hiring, and we see a huge need of knowledge around new technologies, knowledge to help organizing this complexity and support driving the change. So the need for us out there is to help to define what to be done, what to be set in motion, and then taking part in running that change process on different kind of competencies. It can be technology, it can be designing the journey. It can be more executional muscle, so to say, on running with more specific disciplines together with the team. And it's all about shaping joint teams and making all those competencies work together across departments and functions at the customer side. So bringing people together and driving the change, that is the challenge right now. And then of course there's a lot of specific competencies. It could be order management, it could be how to activate customer data, etc. We have to blend that into the mix to ensure that we can actually execute.
Nice. Kasper, talk a little bit about the state of Omnichannel in Scandinavia and the index you guys created. The 5 phases, the 51 touch points. So we talk about Scandinavia. If you remember, of course, all of the data that you presented.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So every second year we are running you can say a survey, a mystery shopping. Our last version, we did primarily Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, the Scandinavian area. We did some additional mystery shopping in well-known brands and retailers in Paris and London as well, to benchmark larger metropoles to the Scandinavian market. The Scandinavian market is quite mature, ahead of the rest of Europe, but we also see that in the large metropoles like Paris and London, we see that there are specific services that brands and retailers excel at in a different way than Scandinavian brands and retailers. So what we do is like we measure the performance and capabilities. So based on insights in general from the industry around consumers, we translate that into capabilities. What capabilities or services to have in place to give a sufficient and a good experience in an omnichannel perspective across the whole, you can say across channels in the whole buying journey, from awareness to evaluation, researching, to the purchase moment, to the service delivery phase, and then what we call the loyalty phase, where you maybe keep in touch or keep relevant and maintain a relation to the client. So across those, across the channels and through the full journey, we measure capabilities for brands and retailers by mystery shopping across channels. So it's both online visits, it's offline visits to stores, and we tie that together as a full journey and measure the capabilities and give a score on those 5 phases and into a total, what we call an omnichannel index score.
Right, and what are the conclusions as far as you remember?
Yeah. So we did this because there's no real studies revealing the actual performance, and there's a lot of talk also in the companies and the board and the management, that the management try to convince the boards, oh, we're doing great, but how do you measure that, and how do you actually perform in comparison to competition? So our findings in this studies have been really interesting. First of all, we see overall that the beginning of the journey, that's typically orchestrated by the digital marketing team or a digital team that runs a lot of digital channels and marketing initiatives. They're doing pretty good, and they can actually perform well in the early phases of the journey on their own, because they're actually managing and owning those channels, typically owning the processes. When we get further down in the buying journey, getting to the phases around evaluation and purchase and service, then we start to see that the customers more frequently changing or switching channels from online to offline to stores, or from stores going home consider. And in those phases, we see the struggles internally in companies getting to the surface. And this is where the companies can actually lose customers that have spent money. They spend a lot of money attracting new clients from various channels. Could be social media, could be Google, etc. Could be more broad advertising. And then in those channels, we see that they actually a lot of companies fail because they don't collaborate sufficiently. They didn't manage to unify their processes across channels. So they deliver a poor or an average performance in the touch point across channels and in the purchase and service phase. That could be, for instance, that a company could have a lot of products on stock or inventory in stores, but online they don't show those products or show that inventory, and they don't inform sufficiently where and how to get that product that is actually in stock in a physical location, accessible for the consumer. So, and it could be the delivery process. We see a lot of optimization have been done in the beginning phases, and getting to the delivery phase, we see that slow delivery, lack of communication in the delivery phase, etc., or lack of unified customer information that gives a swift or a rapid service process. We see those kind of capabilities are lacking, and then it turns out that the customer gets disappointed. You cannot meet the expectations to get the product in time or get the product at all, or you cannot meet the expectations of actually delivering a smooth process when something goes wrong or the customer wants to return the product. So yeah, collaboration internally, lack of unified processes, lack of unified data, and lack of change in the organization. That is some of the main pains we see in the Omnichannel Index.
Super nice. and for you, like, what are you seeing then in terms of trends or what brands and retailers they should be looking or paying
Investing,
attention. For example, we've always heard about acquisition of customers, but I think you touched a very interesting point, which is retention nowadays. I mean, well, why are you going to spend so much money on Google if you can barely retain your customers and understand whether they're happy or not, satisfied, right?
Yeah, I would say that first of all retailers should spend more time doing mystery shopping on their own business.
That's perfect. I agree.
So I meet a lot of people in the industry. They're so busy managing and operating a growing business and digital. The digital channels are growing. Much more revenue, both using digital in store, in the pure digital channels. Sometimes selling through partners or marketplaces. There's a heavy, really intensive growth, and managing that growth is super difficult. You have to hire, people have to manage much more than they did 12 months ago, and it pushes people to the limit of their experience or current capabilities, and they have to stretch themselves. So in this situation, it's quite difficult actually to drive new initiatives. So looking in what to do, I would say that assessing what kind of additional competencies of people should we hire to be able to perform well in 12 months. And it takes 3 to 9 months to hire well, and it takes 3 to 6 months to get people started and up running. So you have to get ahead of the curve with the organization, first of all, and then you have to identify the gaps by mystery shopping more, understanding your own business, and then drive a culture of customer first and driving, let's close those gaps. And actually, I believe it's possible in many businesses to close the gaps and deliver a better customer experience, a better journey, by actually closing basic gaps in the journey. It can be small twists, it can be small feature enhancement, capability enhancements around communications, cleaning up data, etc. There's a lot of stuff that can be done on the basics. And then looking into, okay, what are the next additions to my business that could drive a better business and a better experience in 12 to 24 months. And right now, I see typically that is in the B2C space, that's POS. Investing into POS, it's investing into better order management capabilities. It's investing into customer data capabilities, like capabilities of capturing customer data, storing them, also known as a CDP, and the competencies and the tools to activate those data, and thereby being better at staying in touch, being more relevant in the way you communicate, and maybe also optimizing the return on investment in all your marketing investments. So I think there's some specific elements and capabilities that are really needed 12 to 24 months ahead. But first, I would start to look at the organization and the current journey and the basics.
Amazing. Kasper, what are some of the trends then that you're seeing also for brands and retailers? So I tell you, like in Brazil, what's happening is that a lot of companies are realizing that they can become marketplaces, and by marketplaces they can also become banks. And so there's a lot of we use the term fintechization of companies, that sometimes they, I think a lot of companies are realizing that they can build ecosystems around themselves, right? And so we're seeing that as a major trend in Brazil and Latin America. And maybe I would like to pick your brain on that. What are you seeing in Europe?
I first of all, I see that the readiness to look into, let's say, new transformational services, not like improvement to the existing business, not like enhancing the journey, but pure new services. I see there's a market for that for sure, but I see the maturity is the readiness is not there yet. I think it's going to be then 12 to 24 months. But looking into opportunities, there's so many opportunities of growing your business if you dare to look into to utilize or putting digital at the core. There's a lot of new opportunities to look into. So for I would say for brands, I would say that many brands are looking into to expanding to new markets, and there's a lot of opportunities of collaborating better with large players in local markets. It doesn't have necessarily to be full marketplaces, but it can actually be to see like large players in local markets use them as a mini marketplace or local marketplace, in the same way that maybe you work with Amazon or other marketplace, but actually seeing large local partners in different countries as marketplaces. That's for sure a trend. I would say delivering out of this world direct to consumer experience across markets for brands. That's really, really important. I see collaboration with normal dealers as a brand is really important. So integrating the supply chain, that's also an opportunity for retailers. So retailers and brands integrating more tight to deliver a better experience. And then I see a trend that relates a lot to additional services or customization. I believe that many brands are going to look into more customization. So with digital at the core and the supply chain, even tighter coupled to the revenue or to the end customer, I think there's a big opportunity of looking into customization in all kind of aspects. Making your products more and your product series more modular, and letting the customer decide more personally how to what to order and how to customize the product for your needs. So I think that's some of the main trends. And looking into retail, I believe that retailers, they had to, maybe more than brands, to enhance their services. They had to invent new services and new ways of delivering that services integrated with their stores. So I believe that selling assortments of products from new categories, I think that's going to be a need. And I think looking into subscriptions and other kind of premium services on top of the product, I think that's going to be like a real trend for a lot of retailers.
Yeah, I think I saw Gucci. I think recently they sold like a digital purse for the same price of a physical purse. And then if you just start, ideating, it's all about digital experiences, right? And then you can create subscription. It's all about data subscription experiences. It's really interesting what's going on.
Yeah.
Kasper, I think this was really nice. I'm going to just ask you to wrap this up. We can always do like follow-up sessions and do panels. Sure. I think it would be amazing. But just a few, I would love to have your take on the, let's say, the future, the upcoming future. What's, you spoke about some of the trends, but just your views on the next few years, as in, wearing the hat of CEO of Impact, and what you're seeing, your expectations. Yeah. You made a really nice post on LinkedIn also. So I have it open here looking at.
Yeah, okay. I would say the coming couple of years or 3, my focus is for sure on talent. And keep spotting the trends, but ensuring that the talent, the competencies we have in my organization are able to spot the trends and translate that into feasible solutions and projects of change that can drive new experiences and drive better business. But looking a bit ahead in the future, I believe that the world will become even more distributed in the way we work in general. Even though some point we're going to deal all the way with COVID, I think the distributed and more flexible life is key both to you can say the end customers when we work with commerce and commerce experiences, but also with impact or similar companies or the commerce, the brands and retailers, manufacturers and wholesalers and B2B. That we have to work with our talent, letting them working with the trends and ensuring that they have a flexible workspace where they're allowed to look a bit ahead and allowed to push the limits for what's possible and also looking into what is next. So for me as a CEO, my most important task is to drive a culture of curiosity, a culture of great collaboration, and a culture where you can say drive a workplace where the talent wants to be, have fun, but meanwhile having fun, doing some great work for customers, and are allowed to explore new opportunities and bringing those opportunities to the table with the clients. So I believe that we're going to see a lot of work around revitalizing the physical stores, and we're going to help with that for sure. We're going to see a lot of work of global commerce, a lot of brands that can go global, true global to Asia. We've talked about South America, and exploring new channels of revenue. And I think that's something we really have to help with an impact. We have to help brands in Europe going abroad, outside Europe, and gaining their fair share of the global growth in digital. So global commerce, future store, new services, and I can say customizing the journey and making the buying journey even more personal in all aspects. I think that's some of the main challenges that we have to look into. So utilizing data to create new services and better experiences.
Amazing. So that was Kasper Holst. Kasper, thank you so much, man. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you.